Good afternoon, everybody. About 10 years ago, I was asked to give a speech as guest of honor at an activity, and preceding that speech was a dance item. It comprised, if I recall correctly, 6 young and attractive women who were dressed rather sexily. Now, prior to the dance, I had obviously prepared a very comprehensive speech. It was quite long, full of detail. But after that dance, it felt inappropriate to give a serious speech. So all I said to the audience was, I hope you have a nice event. Thank you very much for inviting me. Have a pleasant evening. And I walked off. Today, unfortunately, you will not be so fortunate. Because there are some older people in the crowd and they expect me to give a proper speech. So bear with me. I will, in the spirit of things, cut short many parts of the speech so that hopefully you won't be too bored. I'll do my best. First of all, let me, of course, thank the distinguished guests who are here, and of course, most importantly, all the young people who are here as well. Thank you very much for taking time off your busy schedule to spend time with us here. And thank you for that, of course. Several months ago, the Secretariat of the Media Literacy Council did a very informal poll to try to find out what young digital natives think about the online space. Right? So they polled about 300 tertiary students from various institutions in Singapore, talked to youth workers, teachers, as well as parents. On a very positive note, we found that most young people, of course, are technologically savvy. You care about your online reputation. You care about the content that you create. And you also want to try to make sure as much as possible that you don't get people into trouble through the content that you create. On the other hand, there was a minority, about 16%, who indicated that they would share, forward, or retweet information, whether true or not, as long as it's funny or sensational. Right, so the existence of this 16% probably explains why from time to time, insensitive or inappropriate content is uploaded on the internet. And we had just such an incident last week when a very unfortunate thing happened. Right? I know that certain things may be sensational, but at the same time, we should also try to respect the privacy of individuals and show respect and sensitivity, especially when people are hurting. The golden rule in life, to act as you would like others to act towards you, is equally applicable to the online space. In our poll, many young people were also concerned about whether the content they created could be against the law or be used against them in future. Our advice as a council is that whatever you post online may stay online and may come back to haunt you years from now. For example, some people say when looking for a job, their potential employer goes and searches for information about them on the internet, and some of it is embarrassing, and that has hurt their job prospects. Right? So these things have a certain permanence about them. Of course, the more important lesson is to do what is right and not just what is legal. As such, share your thoughts, of course, by all means, but only do so if you would do the same thing in real life. Right? So always ask yourself, before you do something online, is this something you're prepared to do in real life, in the open, when there are other people around? Because what you post online may not stay private. I also learned something new from the focus group discussions with the youth workers. They observed that there's a culture of disrespect growing in our online society today. Right? These counselors felt that under the guise of anonymity and an inflated sense of empowerment, an increasing number of internet users have no qualms about using vulgarities and to attack and flame other users online. And this was also confirmed by another group of youth workers who highlighted the rise of online vigilantes and cyber lynching amongst some young people. They look for people whom they think have done something wrong, and they try to inflict punishment on these people. Now, I can understand sometimes when we see something that takes place in cyberspace, or even in the real world that is wrong, we feel we want to do something about it. By all means, yes, I very much applaud idealistic young people who feel that they want to stand up for something that is right. I remember years ago, and maybe this is not a great example, when I was in primary school, I noticed a boy getting bullied. So I stepped in and tried to stop that boy from getting bullied. What happened then was that the bully turned against me and started attacking me, and therefore I had to defend myself by fighting back. Now, I'm not suggesting at all that it's good to fight, right? And nowadays, sometimes even when you fight back, you're in the wrong, okay? But I guess I want to emphasize that I understand very fully why sometimes we may feel we want to do something, we may want to right an injustice. But how you do it is important, right? Do you want to respond, right, with vulgarities yourself? Do you want to lower yourself to the level of the people who've done something wrong? Or should we make the point, right, with a certain degree of dignity? Sometimes making a point that way is far more powerful than descending to the level of people who've done inappropriate things. Now, unfortunately, given that there will always be people who will do silly and insensitive things online, as also in the real world, sometimes there have been calls for something to be done. For example, sometimes people say, let's regulate cyberspace. Let's pass more laws. Today, of course, certain laws do apply online, right? Especially those related to postings that deal with racist remarks or statements that are insensitive to people's religion, for example, right? But it is actually impossible to regulate the many instances of insensitive, careless, or stupid remarks that are often made in frustration or in anger or as a joke. So if not regulation, some people have called for an internet code of conduct to guide the behavior of netizens. Your school may have just such a code listing broad principles or do's and don'ts, or what constitutes good practices online. Increasingly, companies also are creating their own online codes of conduct, which they call social media policies. I think such codes are helpful. They can help in setting behavioral norms and should be encouraged. But ultimately, whatever code you have, whatever policies you have, it is up to individuals to decide whether they want to abide by those policies or not. So is there a third, maybe better way to build a more responsible internet? I think so, and that way is public education. This is the Council's primary approach, and the Council's message in public education is a very simple one and can be summarized in 3 principles. First, recognize that what you do online will have consequences offline or in the real world, number 1. Number 2, don't do what you don't want others to do to you, right? So think about it. If others were to do that to you, would you like it? So ask yourself that question first. Remember the values that your parents taught you: integrity, responsibility, respect, tolerance, and empathy. These values hold well whether in the real world or in the online world. And third, exercise judgment and critical thinking when consuming information and interacting online. Just as you don't necessarily accept what people tell you in the real world, or even what I'm saying today. Don't accept what I say at face value. Think about it. And similarly, think about what it is you're reading in the online world. So how will we promote values and best practices? There are, of course, many initiatives that we are working on. Let me maybe just mention some of them here. I'm pleased to announce the launch of the Council's Media Literacy Badge program. Right? This activity-based program aims to encourage hands-on learning and practical applications of media literacy skills and cyber wellness principles. I'm very happy to say that this program is being developed with the Singapore Cyber Sports and Gaming Association, and that the Boys Brigade will be rolling out the program. Besides the practical skills and concepts, the program will be infused with the core values of the BB so that the boys can exemplify what it means to be a BB offline and online. Right? We hope that the program will be rolled out in April to 44 primary schools and later to another 4,000 secondary school boys. Eventually, I'm hopeful that the other uniform groups like the Scouts, NPCC, and NCC can also adopt this batch program. A second thing which the Council hopes to introduce this year is a grant program to encourage students to turn their school projects on social media into reality. For example, the Council received a proposal from a group of students who wanted to promote awareness about online dating scams. Right? Another proposal we got was how to tackle the issue of online gaming addiction. This got the Council thinking that perhaps if we could offer a modest grant to these students, right, this can be more than just an academic exercise, and the students who have the means to try to turn their project into reality. Essentially, the message that we want to get across to all you young people is this: help us to make a difference. We know you are idealistic, and we know many of you want to make a difference. Help us to make a difference by thinking about how you can make the online space better. Come talk to us, and if we can support you, we will do our best to support you to get your idea off the ground. And who knows, maybe your idealism will bear fruit to an idea that can be turned into a business proposition down the road. The Council is also in the process of forging partnerships with industry players, community groups, schools, as well as the Ministry of Education. We realize we can't do everything, we need to work with partners. So the organization of today's event shows how we are working with different partners. I want to thank ITE for their full support for Safer Internet Day 2013. Right, you can see all of you here, all the effort that they've put in to make this event a success, and I'm very thankful to them for this. They've certainly spent a lot of time and effort to create games and posters to provide cyber wellness tips and highlight the need for ethical communications in a digital world. The list of partners to thank is long. There's Innova Junior College, which created the opening video you saw. There's Nanyang Polytechnic, which specially created the mobile game Cyber Hero, which you can now download on Google Play. And there are our industry partners like StarHub and Singtel, who believe in our vision of a safe and responsible internet, as well as discerning users. StarHub and Singtel also participated in some workshops organized by the National Library Board, which started last Friday. MediaCorp is also a wonderful partner, collaborating with us to produce public education messages on TV and educational video clips using characters from the popular comedy Noose. You get to watch them later, and I hope you share them online so that they will go viral. Last but not least, I want to thank MD and IDA for developing DigiSmart to mark Safer Internet Day. It is a quiz game designed to help you learn media and digital literacy in a fun way, and I hope you will download it from Apple's App Store and play it to test your digital IQ. Whether mobile apps, video clips, or whatever else, right? We also have a new website that contains more tips and food for thought articles at www.medialiteracycouncil.sg. I would like to emphasize, however, that the reality of things is that despite all the resources and tips being provided, right, we can't force you to use them, but we certainly hope you will. Let me say something a little bit more about the website. There's a lot of good information in there that parents might use and that even students might find helpful. For example, before coming here, I was reading one of the articles on gaming on that website. And I must say I agreed very much with that article. Too many parents, in my view, take the view that gaming is not good. Actually, I think gaming is great. I've been a gamer since my secondary school days. And for those of you who are familiar, my most recent two games would be Diablo 3 as well as Guild Wars 2. Right? And I also enjoy playing Civilization as well. Right? I think gaming is actually a wonderful platform for parents to connect with their children, for parents to bond with their children. And I don't think parents should take the view that gaming is bad, let me unplug the computer so that my child cannot play. Right? Rather, gaming should be used as an opportunity, as an occasion for parents to maximize their time with their children as well. Right? So let's not be one-dimensional, I want to say to parents. Right? Let us not impose on our children the kind of world that we grew up in. Right? Because their world, while being similar to ours, also has differences, and we need to adapt, and we need to also sometimes bring ourselves to their stage and not expect them to come to our place in life. Right? So this brings me finally to today's highlight, the youth conference. I just want to say that I hope all of you young people here will have an enriching time dialoguing with our panelists. Please feel free to ask them hard questions, and I hope you will learn something from this afternoon's activity. Thank you very much for your patience.